Welcome back. Today is April 20th, but for marijuana advocates, it's 420. It's a day to celebrate cannabis culture. After the successful legislation of marijuana in 2 U.S. states last year, there's a renewed effort here in Canada. And as the CBC's Evan Dyer explains, the movement is getting help from some very deep pockets.
It takes me an hour today to roll my joints. I'm thinking about hiring a personal assistant.
Since last November, Bob Erb can probably afford that.
On behalf of BCLC, here's our check for $25,001.
30 cracker beers, won't a joint.
Erb did a lot more than that. Back in his hometown of Terrace, BC, he went on a Christmas spree. He gave $7 million to charities, friends, neighbors, and needy people. And Erb had another plan.
I had always thought that I was going to win the big one. The million was the minimum amount I would be putting towards the legalization of marijuana.
Just today's event is costing Bob Erb about $125,000, and that's only about a quarter of the money he's planning to spend on advocacy this year alone. It also paid for this fully catered policy lunch, focused political lobbying the Canadian movement to end marijuana prohibition has never seen before. That's the approach that brought legalization in Washington state and Colorado last November, two campaigns that cost a lot of money. Money this drug policy expert says Canadians aren't used to spending.
In part because the drug laws in Canada, although they're bad, they're not as bad as they are in the United States.
But in Canada, Oskapella says that's changing with new mandatory prison sentences for growing marijuana.
As a matter of fact, the mandatory minimum penalties kicked in the same day as the Colorado and Washington state referenda. Just as the United States was moving in one direction, we were taking a step back.
For Bob Erb, it's another reason to use his money to fight for the cause.
That was 6 steps back, 6 decades almost backward steps that Harper did. For some reason, they can't learn from just recent past history.
As legalization supporters gathered today in Toronto, in Winnipeg, and in about 50 other Canadian cities, they're energized like never before. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.